Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Owning It. I'm so excited to have my next guest here. When I think of someone who is forging their own path and who is owning it and who are helping so many people forge their own path and own it, I thought of JC Lippold, correct? Lippold?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, I almost said Leopold, and I'm like, I know it's not Leopold, it's
Ah,
Lippold. So, everybody, welcome JC here. How are you
hey,
doing?
good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. The last time I saw you, so we are filming this in November. We're in Minnesota, and it was election day. So, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a tough 2 weeks emotionally, spiritually, physically, and so I've really had to take a step back and really rest. And it's wonderful to be back with you.
And also with you, my friend. Like I always say, I'm a big fan of short sentences. So we look at 2 weeks ago, we could say, change is hard, or change is difficult, or change is constant. I always like even shorter sentences. Change is, period.
Yeah.
So we look at the last 2 weeks, change is. Whether we love it or whether we hate it, whether we struggle with it, whether we move with it, no matter what, it's always happening to us. So we get to have cool conversations like this to talk about what we do with it.
Yeah. So today's a very gloomy November day, and this sounds corny. When I thought of like sunshine and light, I was like, JC's a perfect guest to have today. Oh my
Sunshine.
goodness! Wow. Yeah, I was just like, he is the perfect guest. And so I actually met you because we're both Cadre, which is a social media platform for mental health and wellness. And so I got connected with you, and my first impressions of you are, wow, this person is very cool, confident, and I love your enoughness.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
Like if we think about how we put names or categories on people, or the way that we bucket people, I often get placed in the bucket of being positive or being light, and I always go, no, I never aspire to be positive. I never aspire to be optimistic. I'm actually quite the opposite. I'm a realist. I'm a literal person. I'm a linguist by trade, so words are really important to me. But you just use the word enoughness. At the end of the day, I always come back to this place of at the end of the day, people have the capacity to do something in the current moment that they are in that is good for them, and because it's good for them, the world innately benefits from that. So yeah, it's been wonderful getting to know you over this last chapter of time in the in
Thank
the
you.
in what we call the cadre sphere. This space where we always say, what is cadre? It's a space where professionals and peers offer resources to knit a community together, to show the world that there are many ways to being well. So the world that we share in is not one where we say the same thing. It's not one where we have the same beliefs or pathways towards people's holistic well-being, but it's
Mhm.
one where we can offer pathways that people then can autonomously and with high agency go, where am I going and why am I going there?
Yeah. So you mentioned that you were a linguist. Is that your background, being trained as a linguist?
Yeah, so my background actually is in theology. So my undergrad work is in the study of belief with
Okay.
a sociological lens. So in other words, if you think of it this way, every single person believes in something, normally many somethings, whether that be God or family or Britney Spears or baseball or nature or themselves or country or fitness or whatever, right? Everybody believes in stuff. So if we start from that place, if we're attempting to move people or build something, we can normally get pretty far,
Mhm.
because that's the core of people's reality. We can't talk vision, mission, purpose if we don't start from where people are going to see vision and mission and purpose as a sticky thing. They
Mhm.
need to care about the why. So with that being said, what is one of the tools we use to talk and communicate our belief structures through? It's words. So that's why I have a great affinity for words and their usage. I always say words are vessels. They're meaningless. Like literally, words by definition have no meaning. It's what we place in the word. Like I have my water bottle here.
Yeah.
It's currently got water in it. That is what makes it a water bottle. If I would fill my water bottle with my carbonated beverage here, it would all of a sudden become a carbonated beverage bottle. If I would go ahead and take my glazed donut and shove it into my bottle, it would become a glazed donut bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we call it a water bottle? Well, because sooner or later we get really lazy and we go, oh, this is the water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it's purely a vessel. So if we think of words, if we think of the word healthy, it doesn't mean anything until you as an individual or I as an individual go, here is what this word means. Now, the hard thing is, if we want that word to mean something that we both understand, we have to talk about what we both agree that word understands. For example, let's look at the word healthy. I have an energy drink and a glazed donut.
Yeah.
People
I have water here.
Bravo on your water. I have a water bottle too that there's a bottle of water in it. Now, again, I have worked in the health and wellness industry for 20 years. I've been a Lululemon ambassador. I have run 40 marathons. I am on TV as a wellness correspondent. What are most people going to assume or insinuate? That I would not be seen drinking an energy drink, eating a glazed donut. I'm a big fan of affordable, accessible, fortified nutrition. Mm-hmm. So I love fast food. I love processed food. Mm-hmm. I love a bowl of cereal in the morning. Guess what? There are a lot of people who get really uncomfortable when I say these things because they want to go, oh, but you're supposed to be the voice of healthiness. And I go, yeah, well, guess what? I'm from a first-ring suburb that's now a food desert that nudges up to North Minneapolis, which is also relatively a food desert that doesn't have sidewalks that get cleared off and doesn't have the best public transportation and has a lot of homes that don't have parents who have the time to cook or have parents who are home in general. So guess what? If you have the choice of feeding your family with things that you can afford, things that are accessible, things that are shelf-stable, things that are fortified with nutrients and minerals, or not feeding your family, what is more healthy? And we get into the area of social determinants of health, and we get to this place of going, oh, by golly, words have to mean something before we start throwing them around. So not a linguist by trade, but a linguist through my theological background.
Okay. Wow. Is it complex?
One of the things I say more than anything else in my life is simple sounding solutions to complex realities is the root of all problems.
Okay.
So I'll jump into health and wellness again. Here's the root of body shaming, food shaming, and fitness shaming in the West. People say, eat less, move more. And all of a sudden, you will be healthy. You will be well. You will be accepted by society. 100 different people eat less and move more. Are their results the same? No, actually, all 100 of them are different. Mm-hmm. Simple sounding solutions to complex realities are the root of all problems. Because what happens? People follow the simple sounding solutions and they go, well, that sounds simple. I should be able to do this. They do the simple sounding solutions and they find out that they don't work. Who do they blame? They blame themselves. What happens? They move into isolation. They feel humiliated. They move into a space of stress and duress, into shame that moves them into a place of, oh my gosh, I need to fix this fast. So what do? They look for a quick solution again, and the cycle starts all over again. This cycle that I just shared is the end product of the first comprehensive research that was ever done on food, body, and fitness shaming that I worked on over the last couple of years. What happened to that research? Well, the Washington Post, a wonderful publication with liberal leaning, saw the research. They didn't like it because it sounded like we were talking for big food and big pharma and and they ran us through the mud. We lost our funding. They killed our research. Why? Because they too are wanting there to be a simple sounding solution for a complex problem. So is it complex? Yeah, it really is. What's the mental health problem? It's not more hugs. It's not more therapy. It's not getting rid of social media. Let's talk social media for a moment.
Yeah.
Social media is a problem. Social media is a problem. Whenever I present, I'll stand in front of a room full of people presenting, let's say, this shame research. And people will go, the problem, shame is caused by social media. And I will go, okay, how many of you in this room lived before social media was in existence? 85% of people in the room will raise their hands. And I go, okay, how many of you felt just as shitty before social media came into existence? They all raised their hands. And I go, oh, that's funny. So social media is the problem, but you felt just as much shame when your mom was buying you the regular jeans, but buying your sister the skinny jeans. You felt just as bad then as you do now. So maybe social media isn't the problem. Is social media part of the problem? Sure. Is it also part of the solution? Oh, yeah, it is. So guess what? Trying to find the quick, easy solution. Anytime someone says, here's the 3 steps to a happier life, run. Run as fast as you can, because they're trying to sell you something that isn't going to deliver on what they're saying it's going to deliver on.
I've kind of joked about this with other wellness providers too, and we can't Amazon Prime. We can't Amazon Prime our wellness. I mean, I think we have to put in the work. And what are your thoughts on that? Is when you said run, when there's, one's like there's 3 steps to do this, or villainizing social media or other things. Like, do you feel that you can't Amazon Prime these things, or it's like, no, you have to put in the work and the consistency?
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes people get stuck on doing the work. I mean, how often do people make themselves feel bad when they don't put in the work? Who's ever heard the idea that you never miss a Monday when you go to the gym? I go, why not? What's so special about Monday? Here's what's special about Monday. It starts with the letter M. So when someone was coming up with a creative marketing slogan, they're like, never miss a Monday. It sounds cool. Guess what? If Monday didn't start with the letter M, no one would have ever said that. I say all the time, miss a Monday if you want to. Yeah. If your body's saying, hey, stay in bed and take a nap, guess what you should do? Stay in bed and take a nap. Why? Because that's what your body's asking for. Like, at the end of the day, the whole idea that we need to be stronger, harder, faster, deeper, who's taught us that? The culture that's attempting to sell us this stuff. Guess what? It is quite simple to be well. Now, again, simple, not meaning easy, but simple meaning few moving parts. And that's kind of the basis of this idea of enoughness. Enoughness says this. Enoughness is the practice of affirming that you are already indeed enough. In this moment, you are capable of doing something that is good for you. There's 4 levers that you kind of tweak. Number 1, your words are enough. That's your honesty. So how often do we use words like only and just to minimize our truth? Number 2, your feelings are enough. That's your intuition. This is the big one that we don't listen to when it comes to our well-being. It's like, in the gym, we hear, your body will give up before your mind does, or your mind will give up before your body does, or sweat is your weakness crying, or I don't even know what these quotes are, but like we think this is what we're supposed to feel.
Right.
It's like, if we can't give everything, then give nothing. Or like, this will get easier over time. And I go, or like all of this stuff. It's like, no, like if our body is telling us something, we should listen to it. Like there's a reason why we have a nervous system. Because it's going to give us information that we should acknowledge. The third tenet is your thoughts are enough. That's your curiosity. Curiosity is our ability to say, I wonder this, or I don't know this. How often are we supposed to hide the things that we don't know? Or we should have the simple sounding truth to the difficult question. For some reason, we think that the answers should be easy. Why? Because that's what we've been taught. And then the last thing is you are enough. It's your presence. Right now, in this moment, what is true that if you acknowledge, you could do something with? Like right now, you and I, in this moment, are engaging with each other. And I bet if people did some biometrics on us, we are probably happier, we're probably calmer, we're probably more attuned to our own needs and each other's needs because we're focused on each other. Now, people will always look at enoughness and be like, no, JC, enoughness leads to complacency. Like if someone is lazy or stuck or addicted or out of shape, or that's not good and they need to make changes. And I go, yes, but the reason they don't make changes is because they think that the change is so far away from where they are. So what do? They do nothing. Because when someone is not enough, they don't think they are capable of doing anything. People are going, hey, I've run 40 marathons. How many have I trained for? 0. Why? Because it makes no sense in my head that I need to earn the right to go out on a road to do something that is going to make me feel alive. Now, guess what? I also don't care about time. I don't care if I'm slow. I don't care if I'm fast. I don't care if I walk. I don't care if I run. So guess what? I don't really like running. So I'm not going to waste my time training. And most people who don't like running, who train for a marathon, what do? They hate it more and more. They injure themselves. They get to race day. They don't want to do it. They sometimes don't get to do it because they've injured themselves. And then they crawl into that cycle of going, I'm not good enough to do this thing. So at the end of the day, working hard, I think there's more options than that. Honestly, when it comes to being well, I think most people need to work less hard. I think most people need to give themselves more breaks. I think more people need to follow less plans. I think more people need to be more curious and more intuitive and more honest and more present, which these things are never set up as being the motivational thing. It's the, oh, sweet. So I'm going to leave this keynote speech and go sit down and watch some TV, or go sit down and doodle in my notebook on a park bench. Like normally after the big keynote, what are we supposed to do? I'm going to write down the 7 things I'm going to do in the next 30 days that are going to change my life forever. And I go, that may be the best thing to do, but doing the absolute opposite may also be the best thing to do in that moment.
I love that. You know how we spoke at the beginning about how the last time we met was 2 weeks ago, and it was election season. And I said, I've been taking a break for the last 2 weeks. And I think we are a nation of doers. Like we've been taught do. And no, like my best ideas have come from when I have rested and not pressure myself and go with the flow instead of force. And we are a nation of forcing.
Yeah, and I would go even further, because sometimes we think, what is the boundary? Is it national? Is it one of the isms? Is it a gender thing? Is it a sex thing? Is it a generational thing? Is it a, again, technically, like so I'm an old millennial. Like millennials are supposedly lazy, right? And Gen Zers are supposedly even more lazy. And I go, I would say this, it's like the fuel within their tank is different. Where like
Mhm.
you look at Gen Xers and Boomers who go, I work hard no matter what, because that is the given. That is the no matter what, we work hard even if we hate our lives. Where millennials go, no, I'm not going to do something unless I care about it.
Mhm.
And Gen Zers go, I'm not going to do this unless I care about it and I see it fitting into a larger picture that is going to create some seismic connection, community, or change.
Mhm.
Is laziness the right nomer? And I go, no, I don't know if that, and again, it depends on what people mean that word to be. But again, like right now, like we are a culture of doing because that's the culture we've all created.
Mhm.
Like even when you said it's like, is it that we need to be consistent and work hard?
Mhm.
It's like what made those ideas come to the front of your mind? I would venture to say that that's kind of the cultural current that we live in. It's
Mhm.
we need to be consistent. We need to do little things often. Like that's something that I say all the time. Or it's like working hard is one of those cultural normatives that make our nationalism what it is.
Yeah.
Especially if you're from a center state, right? Like people love, people like employers love people from the Midwest because we
Mhm.
are hardworking people.
Yeah.
Like West Coasters don't work as hard as Midwesterners. East
Mhm.
Coasters work as hard as Midwesterners, but they aren't as kind or personable.
Mhm.
Like yes, and what's causing that? Like, what are the
Yeah.
normatives that are making people go, is this actually who we are? Is this actually what makes us fire and be happy and whole? Or is this something that we've gotten in the routine of doing without thinking about why are we doing it?
Mhm. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the center of all of this is shame.
And if I would expand the aperture a little, so let's define shame,
Mhm.
and define it separately from guilt, because sometimes
Okay.
people will interchangeably use the word guilt and shame.
Mhm.
Guilt is feeling bad for something you've done. Shame is feeling bad for who you are. So like I could feel guilty because I um, yelled at the mail person. Um, I I feel ashamed that I let down the trainer at the gym because I didn't get out of bed, and now they think I'm not good enough to reach my goals. One thing is like I am guilty because I did this thing. The other is I am ashamed because I am a bad person. Most people in our culture, we protect ourselves and we're taught to protect ourselves by going, I am not good enough.
Mhm.
Therefore, I need to let everybody else know that I am aware that I am not good enough. I always raise this like, if you think about your pop stars or your sports stars growing up,
Mhm.
who are the celebrities or sports stars growing up that you were a fan of?
So I'm an elder millennial, and so Michael Jordan was big.
Yep.
God, the Williams sisters were big.
Perfect. You could stop
Um,
right there. Those would be the three names that I would raise as an old millennial. Those are the names. And here's what I always say. I go, why? Like if all of a sudden we became aliens and we came down to Earth and we said, who are the people that they look up to? Why would our species look up to the individuals who their only job is to play the game that they're famous for? They don't have to do anything else with their lives. And then they get really good at that thing. And that's the only thing they ever have to do.
mhm.
Like, why is that our hero? Like, I think it would make more sense that we look up to the person who, works two jobs and has a couple of kids and volunteers and then does the X and the Y and the Z and why? Because that looks more like us. At the end of the day, I'm not inspired. Let's say I go back to the marathoning world.
Yeah.
I'm not inspired by the person who wins the marathon because I don't relate to that. I'm inspired by the person who finishes last in the marathon, who, is running with crutches or running with a terminal disease or running for a cause or a charity or experienced a big injury in the race or knew that they were going to be the last person finishing and still started anyways. Why? Because I relate more to them than I relate to the superstar athlete. So like let's look culturally. Nike sponsored Michael Jordan and Serena and Venus. And again, I'm a tennis player. I love Venus and Serena. And I love Michael Jordan. I love all three of those humans. Cool people. I'm not putting them down. But I am saying, what if we change the proximity of everybody else to that? So Nike has always been number one, right? Nike. All of a sudden, about 15 years ago, Lululemon came out of the scene. And Lululemon said, what if rather than having the Michael and the Serenas and the Venuses, we had locals to our stores be our ambassadors? Every Lululemon on the planet, like the storefront, they would have people who would be their store ambassadors, that people who would walk in to shop in their stores would be able to recognize, take classes from, or know from their neighborhood. Guess what? Lululemon is now right up there with Nike. How did they do it? They retrained society to look at who was enough, from the Michael Jordans and the Serenas and the Venuses to the people who are teaching at the yoga studio down the street, or the people who are working at the school or working at the business or dancing at the dance studio in their city. And what did it do? It changed the way that people saw themselves because they were seeing who was held up as enough differently. Again, it's not random that I have a donut with me on this podcast. I am the person who is known as the health wellness person in the Twin Cities and beyond. And I'm also the person who's known as the lover of Count Chocula and Lucky Charms and donuts and McDonald's and Taco Bell and Leanne Chin and all the other things. Because guess what? Those are not bad foods. Guess what? Headline, there is no bad foods. Food is food. Say to a non-white American person that you can eat rice and beans and other foods that are derived as more culturally centric to different cultures of people. That food is not bad or unclean or dirty or unhealthy. It's actually incredibly food. But we need to shift the way that we invite people to own their own work and their own sustenance and their own happiness, and some may say their own pathway.
Yeah.
Right? Like as we get back to owning it, what if you listened to yourself and you said, you know what? I am going to acknowledge the fact that when I walk my dog or when I dance in my living room, that counts as exercise. I'm going to acknowledge that when I take my family of 5 to Disney World for a week, that when I come back, I don't have to feel ashamed that I haven't worked out in a week, when in reality, you just lugged 5 human beings around massive amusement parks every single day for 7 days and probably moved more those days than you normally move. And that also counts for physical activity. And you need to give yourself credit for that. But again, at the end of the day, we live in a culture that praises those people who sacrifice their reality, their vocation, their happiness, their wholeness, as if that's the cost for being well.
I loved everything you said right there. And for me, your own pathway is essentially rebuilding foundations.
Yeah.
It's rebuilding the foundations that everybody told us that is going to work, be happy. And if you follow those directions, foundations, it should work for you. And when it doesn't work for you, you're thinking, what's wrong with me? And you feel the shame, the guilt. And your own pathway is essentially rebuilding those foundations and saying, you know what? No, it may not work for you. It may not work for people. And there's nothing wrong with you when you rebuild these foundations.
Yeah. I mean, and again, at the end of the day, if you ask people what are their foundations of health, I bet most people would attempt to answer that question because they would feel like they should know the answer.
Yeah.
And I bet most people wouldn't know what the answer is. I don't know if I know what the answer is, because at the end of the day, um, life is happening, life is hard, life is changing, life is complicated, life is whatever. My foundation of health is very different all of the time. So what do I need? What do I need to do? I need to check in, like, again, like the simple sounding solution that I offer, simple meaning few moving parts, not simple meaning easy, is to go, okay, check your tenets of enoughness. Are you being honest? Are you listening to your intuition? Are you being curious? Are you being present? Like, those 4 things allow you to go, okay, guess what? No, I'm not going to go to the gym today. Why? Because I'm sad and I don't want to get off the couch. Oh, but you'll feel better if you get up and you go. Okay. Like, thanks for not being present. Thanks for not listening to your intuition. And thanks for not being curious to see if I can find my own pathway to being well.
Right.
Again, like, have you ever heard, oh, I move for my mental health. Like, I need to move every day for my mental health. Have you ever heard that one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it sounds great. It sounds super healthy. It sounds like that's the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In the same day, about 6 months ago, I had 2 meetings with 2 gentlemen, both in their 50s, both white, cisgendered white men. Both of them had found their Stella got her groove back in both of these men's lives at the gym. Like, they became known as the faster, stronger, harder, deeper. Like they got into their jive at the gym. Everybody loved them being there. They were there at the same time every day. They had their space. They were there. And they loved being there. And then all of a sudden, both of them, again, these 2 gentlemen did not know each other. Different gyms, different houses of movement, did not know each other. And again, I could tell this story about 50 other guys that I know too. And all of a sudden, these 2 guys started getting tired. And then their bodies started getting sore. What did they do? Did they stop? No, they kept going. Why? Because they move every day for their mental health. And because they have obligations to the people who love seeing them there. And then guess what? They injured themselves. Did they stop then? Nope, they kept going. They modified. Because there's no shame in modifying. I'm like, why do we say there's no shame in modifying, but we never say that there's no shame in going harder, faster, stronger, deeper? Because there's actually shame in modifying. Mm-hmm. We never tell people it's okay to work harder. We only tell people it's okay to take it easy. So these guys kept going. And then they injured themselves to a place to where they couldn't keep going. So guess what they had to do? They had to stop going to the gym. And then they had to go to the doctor. And then they had to get surgery. And then they had to go to PT. And then what happened? They got depressed. And then guess what? Addiction. And then guess what? Depression. And then guess what? Anxiety. Then guess what? Low self-esteem. And then guess what? Do. You know how many times I've heard this story in the last 20 plus years?
Plenty.
Hundreds and hundreds of times. Why? Because this is what we praise.
Mm-hmm.
We praise the keep going, push through, keep going, push through, keep going, push through. Addiction to anything is bad.
Yeah.
Saying I need to go to the gym every day for my mental health is saying that I need to drink 3 beers after work every day to take the edge off.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things are not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people will be like, JC, you can't say that going to the gym is the same like drinking 3 beers. And I go, I absolutely can't say that. Because if you're doing it because you think you need to, in order to be enough or to merit you being well. Yeah, like the body doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like we keep circling this idea that there isn't a simple solution. We don't live in a binary world. It's not this or that. It's not good or bad. It's not clean or dirty. It's not yoga or HIIT. It's not run or walk. It's not. And it's also not pathway A or pathway B. But what it is a really rich, beautiful life that as you show up every day, you go, huh, I wonder if I did this, what would happen? Learning from that, and then going, huh, now I know what I'm going to do next time because I just did X this time.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. What phrase comes to my mind when you say all of this? No pain, no gain.
That's another
I
one.
heard that so much, and I've done a lot of therapy with former athletes, and I can so tell that they're former athletes because they're all in, and now they don't know how to take baby steps, and they feel a lot of shame and guilt because they're not living to their full potential. And it's like, you're not an athlete anymore. You have to really, it's like helping them to really deconstruct everything that they've been told.
And again, words are vessels. Like I'm going to haunt your brain. I would say they are still athletes, because what is an athlete? An athlete is someone who does something, then they think about how they did it, then they consider how they would do it differently and do it better, and then they do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, you've started a new podcast.
Yes, I did.
You're an athlete because you're going to think about how you've recorded this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and the next time you're going to do it a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because you're learning. So again, it's reshaping the way we look at things. But again, like no pain, no gain. Actually, the absolute opposite. Pain is our body's way of saying, don't do that. So actually, pain is the opposite of gain. Pain is your body saying, I am shutting down right now because you are doing something that innately is bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am no longer going to trust you. So when all of a sudden the big moment comes to play, I'm going to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
I know the last time that I let you know that something was wrong and you did not listen to me. So guess what? I'm no longer going to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad when the body doesn't like when we don't trust ourselves, ourself starts to not trust us.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird, but that's when we become conditioned.
Yeah. I think about when you're sick and your body's telling you to rest and you're like, no, I'm going to keep going, going, going. And the body's like, I'm going to make you sick. I'm going to force you to rest because you're not resting. So you're going to be sick. And it's very much like that. Listen to your body. And why don't we listen to our body? I know that's a really general question, but what do you think it is that we don't listen to our body, especially here in this country?
If we don't give ourselves any benefit for listening to our body, why would we start listening to it? Now again, at the same time, no, there are times we have to push through. There are times we have to gut through. There are times we have to show up. Absolutely. And the cool thing is we are not fragile beings. We can fight. Our nervous system has two sides: fight, flight, and rest, digest. Mm-hmm. But here's the great thing. Our nervous system doesn't have an opinion. Our nervous system doesn't say something's happening and it's bad. Our nervous system simply says something's happening and we wanted to let you know that. What do you want to do, chief? And then we say to our nervous system, oh no, this is good. I'm running on the treadmill right now in order to accelerate our heart rate so our heart learns how to deal with stress better. If we say that to our body goes, oh, okay, cool. Holding on for the ride. Whee! But again, at the end of the day, and this is where I go into my own personal autonomy zone. Because again, like at the end of the day, when we walk into the gym or when we consider what we are consuming in terms of food or information, like we could say, our society is doing X. And I go, you want to know what? When I'm at the gym and, let's say I'm taking a group fitness class and the coach says, hey, pick up heavier weights, or hey, run faster. If I don't want to, guess what I say?
You don't
No.
want to.
Yeah. And then they go, oh. And then they realize that I'm shifting the paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we think that the voice on the outside is the voice that we have to listen to. Are there voices on the outside that we should listen to? Absolutely. We should listen to every voice on the outside and consider what that information offers us for the inside. But again, at the end of the day, what is our greatest opportunity? To actually consider what this intelligently designed being that we are is providing us, and to start there. Because again, at the end of the day, like how many people are going into the health wellness world to help other people? So whenever I'm teaching teachers, I always say this. In the olden days, teachers sat up here. So I have one hand above the student, and the student is lower. And the teacher would say, student, do what I tell you to do. And the student would aspire to be the teacher. The student would do anything to say, yes, teacher, I want to be like you, teacher. That's old school. That's old school.
Hierarchy.
Yep, hierarchy. And then we kind of moved in this weird middle place where the teacher was like, hey, we're all on the same level and we're all in this together. And yes, we can. And it all became we. And all of a sudden the student got confused. It would be like if Mother Teresa became a police officer and all of a sudden Mother Teresa pulled you over, a gun out, and said, you can get out of the car if you want to, sir. And you go, wait a minute. You're Mother Teresa, but you're also a police officer, and you're telling me to get out of the car if I want to. What am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like the person who is the teacher has power. Like they have control. They have information. I always like thinking the teacher this way. The teacher sitting below the student and saying, student, you have all of the power. Student, I'm creating a space where you have autonomy, where you have agency, where you have control. And I am here to offer you space and support. I'm not going to say it's a safe space because I can't create safety for you, but I will say it's a space where you can be brave. So if you want to consider different things and different ideas, I'm going to allow you to do that. If you want to take nothing that's being offered to you and do something else, that's great too, because you are truly the one who has all of the power here. I think if we create more and more spaces like that, the people actually have the opportunity to start to gain control of their own existences. Because if they have to go to someone else because they are deficient, that is not going to get us anywhere. We can invite people to see, hey, you have everything that you need. You may simply need someone. One of my favorite quotes, Edith Wharton said, light is reflected in two ways, from the candle and from the mirror. Whether it be a therapist or a coach or a teacher or a colleague or a peer or a professional, it's our job not to be the candle, but to be to say, hey, I'm going to show you what you have. I'm going to show you what's in your tool bag. I may invite you to consider other tools that you may consider wanting to have. But at the end of the day, if we are leading people to think that something on the outside of them is what they need to become enough, at the end of the day, once they consume that thing, they're still not enough. And then they're still in that same place they were before.
Would you mind sharing what was going on in your life when you came up with the concept of enoughness?
Yeah. So, I'm 42 years old and I've still never applied for a job in my life. I'm a vocationed individual, meaning I have always done things that I feel like I'm supposed to do. So I've never sought a specific pathway. I've never wandered in a specific direction. I've always done the things I felt like I'm supposed to do, and then things have presented. So enoughness started festering when I was an emotional, nonverbal, little gay kid growing up where my best friend was my piano. I love music and I love theater, but I was never enough. So I didn't do theater until after I graduated from high school. I never thought I was enough to do anything. So I never did anything. And then all of a sudden one day I realized, I'm like, the only prerequisite that I need to add to my cart is me feeling like I can walk in and do the thing in the way that I want to do the thing. And unless someone is going to stop me from doing it, I can do it. Now again, not like, and I can do it. And yes, you can. And like, no, again, like I said, I mean, I'm a 40-time marathoner and I've never liked running. And I've never trained for a marathon and I'm not an athlete. Back to the point of like, I'm not an athlete in the cultural sense of I'm not the naturally gifted physical doer. I started running marathons to be like, oh, I'm going to be the person who eats fast food and doesn't train for races and makes the whole running world uncomfortable because I'm not doing it the way that they say you have to do it. I'm going to do the things simply because I'm going to figure out how I can do the things that not that I want to do. I would say, I mean, I'm a classic introvert. I don't like being around people. Meaning I'm not energized by being around people. But so it's not that I do the things that I want to do, but I do the things I feel like I'm supposed to do, which makes it really easy for me. Because if I go, yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to do this thing, then all I have to do is figure out how I'm supposed to do it. So whether it be, being in a room full of people, whether it be doing, this thing that hasn't been done before, at the end of the day, enoughness is the catalyst for all of that. Because whether it is me not being honest with my language and how I speak about myself, whether it be me not listening to my feelings and my intuition, again, like more and more people are like, oh, I'm highly intuitive. And I go, everybody has the capacity to be highly intuitive. I think what's happening in culture is people are going, oh, I'm actually listening to the fact that I have a voice that comes from an emotional place that I'm starting to pay attention to. Number 3, I'm listening to that curiosity voice. I'm saying I don't know really loudly and without judgment on myself. And then lastly, I'm going, hey, you know what? I am here today in my current state and I can't do X, but I can do Y. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do Y. Why? Because I can't do X. So all of those ideas, has been born of me simply, again, simple meaning not easy, but few moving parts, me doing what I do every day has fostered this idea of enoughness. Sooner or later, I'll write the book. But the amount of times that enoughness comes up in conversation, like I'm the enoughness guy. All of a sudden the Barbie movie comes out and Ken has his Knuff shirt and everyone's like, oh, JC. And I go, it's different. But at the end of the day, words don't mean anything until we place meaning in them. So whenever people talk about enoughness and they go, oh, JC, and I go, yeah, like what I mean when I say that. And where other people know what they mean when they say that. It's the power of like the podcast right now where we get to go, hey, 2 people connecting. Again, there wasn't a pathway for today's conversation. There was 2 people curious, present, listening with their emotions and their intuition and being honest with each other. And this product, this artifact that we've created is exactly what I think the world could look like if people worked a little less hard and saw what they had in each moment that they were living.
Did that concept enoughness make other people uncomfortable?
Oh, people throw mud on it all the time because they go, enoughness is complacency, and no, people shouldn't be complacent. And I go, no, enoughness doesn't mean complacency. It means the opposite. No, I don't want my kids to be enough. I want my kids to be more than enough. And I go, but what if they're not? Like, what about on the days that they're not enough? What about on the days that they're pretty out of it? What about on the days that they literally can't do anything? On those days, what is their worth? If they have to be more than enough, if they have to be perfect to be baseline, what is their worth on the days that they're not? And that's when everybody shuts up. Because again, I'm not saying, again, people go, JC, you're so nice and so positive and everything is a glass half full. And I go, I am such a pessimized realist. But I will not go down without saying, hey, you know what? Again, like anyone who is surprised with how the election went, they haven't been looking through the eyes of the people in our society who don't have. Like right now, we're looking at a world that says, here is what we want the American experiment to turn into next. And is that good or bad or here or there or whatever? It's like, according to who? Like there's a majority of people who go, no, this is what we want to try next. And for us to not honor that is the truth right now is a fallacy. But to the point, like we are where we are. So now what do we do with that? That is the success model at any given time. So yeah, there's a lot of people who want to either think about, well, if we work from a winner's mindset, then we can't lose. And I go, yeah, but what if we're losing right now? Then working from a winner's mindset is a fallacy. Well, we need to start from thinking that we're champions. Yeah, but what if we're not champions right now? Then we're working from a fallacy. What if you need to think about your company earning $1 million in the next 6 months? It's like, yeah, but what if you can't pay your rent this month? You're not in $1 million mindset right now. Like I have heard 0 businesses in the last 10 years say that they are struggling or going out of business until they put up the sign saying we're out of business. Why? Because they think that they need to act like that everything is A-okay and fine until they announce to the world that they're not A-okay and fine. Here's the deal. I will tell you that I am not A-okay and fine. And then I will tell you, now here's what I'm going to do to do what I can do in this moment. Why? Because that's what I got for you. It may not be the sexiest thing in the world, but it's the truthful, honest, intuitive, present, curious thing. And again, there's a million articles right now that have been written in the last 10 years that say the number one thing that every successful CEO says more than anything else right now is these 3 words: I don't know. Like leaders that say, I don't know what's going on. Those are the leaders that people are following. Why? They're saying the truth. People who are saying, here's the answer going forward. Again, unless they're showing you the why and the what and the how, like in the midst of that, run from them, because they're probably not. They're probably speaking from a place of not enoughness, or a space of trying to convince you that you are more than enough, without actually getting you to that place in the first place.
So a lot of realists, like you're very real, authentic.
There's only one world we get to live in, and it's this real one that we got.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved how you said it. Vulnerability. Do you feel like enoughness is about vulnerability or no?
Think of it this way. Every single Fortune 500 company hires Brene Brown to come do their fall national. Why? Because I think every white male CEO who's sitting at the top of a big corporation who's going, we need to hire someone to do our fall national. They talk to their sister-in-law, and their sister-in-law says, oh, you should read this book called Daring Greatly. It's by this Brene Brown. She invented vulnerability. So all of a sudden, Brene Brown is the savior of mental health and wellness in the workplace. And everybody thinks that Brene Brown is the one voice, or maybe Mel Robbins is the second voice. And I go, actually, I don't know. I know about 8 billion voices on this planet who all have a really good message. How about we listen to all of them? Because guess what? Vulnerability is fun. And authenticity is fun, and honesty is fun, and intuition is fun, and all of the things are fun. But back our vessels. What does vulnerability mean? You say vulnerability to a room of people, and 50% of them are going to roll their eyes, and 50% of them are going to golf club and be like, yay, we're going to talk about vulnerability. That's my favorite thing to do. Let's go to Barnes & Noble and get a big cup of coffee and talk about vulnerability. It's like what does that mean? Like, more people talking about vulnerability isn't going to save the world if vulnerability doesn't mean something to the people who are having that word thrown at them. Again, like at the end of the day, I love me some Brene Brown, but I'm also at the place where I go, something's really scary if, for as long as vulnerability's been the token word, like, are we still thinking that it's just rumbling with vulnerability? Like is that still the one thing that everybody needs to do? Because I think it changes faster than that. Sometimes for moments, for hours, for minutes, yeah, we need to pick Darren Greatly up off the shelf. For other moments, we need to do one of a million other things. But at the end of the day, the truth and the pathway is not outside of people. It's within their own. Again, like we think about, I often think about other species on this planet. It's like humans feel like they need to, I need to go ahead and run faster in order to get better at running faster, or I need to sit in the cold tub longer in order to get better at sitting in cold tubs longer. Like we always need to challenge ourselves in order to get better at challenging ourselves. But like, I think of like deer. I've never seen a deer run up to a hunter and be like, come on, shoot me, hunter, to get done.
Right.
I've never seen the squirrel try to dodge the car. Like they don't do that. Like, species go, what do I need right now? I need food. I need rest. I need play. I need shade. I need sun. Humans are going, I need vulnerability. It's like, what does that mean? If we listen to what our body is asking for and we honor that, and by honor, I mean we shout that to the world, or we give ourselves that, our body kind of has things figured out. It really does. Now, again, I love me all of the self-help books. I love me all of the leadership books. I love me all of the podcasts. I love me all of the people doing all of the things. But if we put them all together, it comes down to one thing. Listen to yourself and then respond to what that voice is saying. If everybody does that, it's going to look 8.5 billion different ways. And it's not going to come down to a 3-step process. It's not going to say work harder or rest more. It's not going to say eat this, don't eat that. It's not going to say cleanse here, don't cleanse here. It's not going to say journal more or listen to more nature music. It's not going to say any of that. And most people are walking away from the idea of wellness because they're hearing that. It's like, oh, apparently to be well, I need to meditate. Bullshit. Not going to. Moving on. To be well, I need to stop eating Taco Bell. Sorry, not going to. Have fun being well. I'm going to be happy over here. Because again, at the end of the day, if you turn on Good Morning America or the Today Show and they have and Ethel from Columbus, Ohio, turning 102 years old today. Ethel, what's your success to being to living so long? Ethel's answer is always the same thing: cigarettes, vodka, and Snickers bars every single day. What is Ethel saying? Ethel's saying, I've done the things that make me happy and whole every single day. And what has that given her? Full life. Told her body that she's happy and well. And it works.
Yeah.
Now, how do we get more people to do that? We have more people saying, don't do what I do, but do what your body says.
It sounds like vodka is the secret sauce here then, apparently, huh?
Straight up. Yep.
I'm listening to you just like the last few minutes, and we complicate things.
If we don't complicate things, why are people going to give us money?
Yeah.
Like wellness, people are we can get into a whole nother episode of talking about the complexity of trying to make a living in the wellness industry. Like if we don't make something that we can sell, we're not going to be able to make a living. So what do? we go, here's my course, here's my book, here's my retreat, here's my product, here's my service. If we don't do that, we don't make money. Where on the other hand, like Apple can sell a new iPhone and they make $1 trillion. A therapist, unless they make a new, here's my 30-day mindfulness calendar to set you off on the right foot.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they get people to buy it, guess what? They don't get to send their kid to gymnastics this year.
Yeah.
So again, at the end of the day, society leads us down a path of making things complex.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, at the end of the day, I'm 42. I don't have a savings account. I don't have a retirement plan. And if I wasn't a vocationed individual, I'd probably be very, very 10 times more stressed out than I am. But again, I go, I'm doing an experiment. It's called, if I do the things I feel like I'm supposed to be doing with my life, do I end up old and homeless? Or do I end up working at Target as a 75-year-old checking out, people with, arthritis in my hands? Or do I somehow figure out how to do what other people get to do? And that is sooner or later stop working. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm halfway through my adult life and the jury's still out. I could be one of those three. Because again, at the end of the day, like I don't got any money sitting around and I hope every month that I can pay my bills. Mm-hmm. But I also refrain from going, here's the thing that I'm going to, like you say, make more complex so that people go, oh my gosh, JC's going to have the answer for me if I just give JC all my money. And then at the end of that, then I'll understand the pathway that JC is walking me down.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all of this. And so you're definitely, the enoughness. Thank you for explaining that. And what does it mean to own it for you on all of this? What does it mean to own it for you?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a straight passing white guy in America in 2024. So I always look as much as possible, acknowledging my privilege to decenter myself. So I run at the world to go, okay, where is it easy for me to get to? How quickly can I get there and then get out of the way? Because most of the time, the things that I'm passionate about are seeing less of me because I see a lot of me. And inviting other people to take the space that it's easy for me to get to. But at the end of the day, in the wellness space, who is least represented, it's the white guy. White guys don't have examples of being unique and expressive and pluralistic in their thought and in their emotion and in their responsibilities and so on and so forth. So for me to own it simply means for me to continue doing what I'm doing without knowing what that looks like 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 7 year, 10 years from now. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey, and anything else that you want our audience to know about you, or last words.
Yeah, last words. Often, you listen to people on podcasts and you go, they're over there and I'm sitting here. Like I always put the invitation out. If you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to reach out to, I am one of those people. So if it takes a little courage or a little curiosity, I'm hopefully making it a little bit easier by giving you the invitation. Reach out to me, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or anywhere else. You can find me, JC Lippold, or my website, jclippold.com.
Okay. And final question, do you work with individuals only, or do you work with companies, or both?
Any and all the time. I show up in more random places. So yeah, like in terms of my profession, I end up being anywhere and everywhere. So if you think that I would be someone who would fit within a puzzle that you're dealing with, feel free to reach out.
Okay. And I will include all of JC's information in the link below. So thank you, JC, so much for being here today. I enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for explaining about what enoughness is for me and for everybody else. And yeah, we don't need to complicate things. Thank you for that. That's something that I'm going to really take with me as I do my journaling and do my reflections and be like, what what can I do for myself here? So thank you so much, JC.
Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. For those that have not subscribed or liked this, please subscribe and like this episode. And I will see you all next time. So take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.